There are many tasks to handle when running an Amazon FBA business, and it's nearly impossible to do it alone. That's where specialized virtual assistants can help you. And in this video, we discuss how to start working with a virtual assistant, what tasks you can outsource, and how does the onboarding process look like.
Hi Gilad, I'm really happy to have you back here on Orange Click channel to talk about Amazon virtual assistants and how virtual assistants can help Amazon sellers to run their business better. So before we go into the discussion itself, could you first introduce yourself and let us know what you do in the Amazon space?
Surely, Zed. So first of all, thank you for this interview. So my name is Gilad. I'm the founder and CEO of Virtual Assistant Academy Philippines. We recruit virtual assistants from the Philippines, and then we train them specifically to work with Amazon sellers worldwide. I started as an Amazon seller myself, so everything we do is on the light of Amazon sellers. This is really the only thing that we specialize in, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about today.
Okay, very good. So I think as a first question, I would like to ask you why people are talking so much about virtual assistants when it comes to running an Amazon business, because with any other business model, maybe virtual assistant isn't something you hear a lot all the time. You'd rather just hear about growing a team and hiring more people in the team. So maybe you can open that background a little bit for the viewers.
Okay, I think if we looked at like 5 years ago, or even a little bit more than that, most of the sellers on Amazon were like new private label sellers that try to gain a fortune from finding one product and selecting the right product and developing it. And this is usually the type of solopreneurs. Solopreneurs, they did everything themselves. They run their own business from scratch, and they did basically like PPC, social media, creating the listings, all the everyday work themselves. The more Amazon developed and the FBA developed over the last couple of years, especially with COVID, we see more and more big companies that enter and sell on Amazon, and they already have the budgets and funds to go deeper and to compete with the small sellers. So that brought also the small sellers to understand that, wait a minute, we have to go faster. We have to look at the big ones and see what they're doing and try to keep up. And that means basically the understanding that you can no longer do everything in your business. You can no longer be the Superman of your business, doing all the everyday activity and in the same time trying to grow your business to the next step. But you already have to hire assistants and creating a team, like you said. And it's only natural that when you're developing an online business, an e-commerce business, then you would not need necessarily to hire people from inside your country or your city. It doesn't mean that somebody needs to sit next to you in the office. You can hire virtual assistants from the Philippines or from any other place in the world where the budget is much lower. So you can, with a limited budget, you can already create yourself your first team of VAs. And then because they're working offshore and because you're working with them like we're doing now on Zoom, then basically it's very efficient. It's even more efficient sometimes because you're asking them to talk with clients all over the world, so you can divide their hours of work. We'll talk about it later, but that's really the reason why it's affordable and it's much easier to work with, and it's essential for growing your business.
Okay, very good for the introduction of the topic. And what are usually the first tasks or responsibilities that Amazon sellers are delegating to the virtual assistants? And maybe also based on your experience, and I know you talk with a lot of Amazon sellers, you work together with Amazon sellers. When do sellers usually hire their first VA?
So I would divide it between two. If you're a private label seller starting your business and growing, and you see that it's going good, your sales are increasing, and you need help, you can no longer cover everything, then usually you're in a position to hire one VA in the beginning, and then it could be either somebody, it's where you're stuck at. So if you're not really good on PPC or you don't have enough time to do PPC, you will hire PPC. If you're in the phase of now doing the everyday activity of customer service, shipment plans, inventory management, then you will focus more on a VA that is specialized on Amazon Seller Central. When we're working already with bigger companies, then they already have a plan to expand everywhere that's needed in order to grow and to beat their competitors on Amazon. And that means that they will need help on all aspects. It could be a PPC, it could be social media, it could be Seller Central management, and it could be even what we call executive assistants to help them in everything that is not even Amazon. So it's really like these companies, they come to us and they build together with us a plan of action of how they can take all the fields necessary in order to grow their Amazon business.
And usually when sellers are starting to hire their first VAs, is it usually like this, that they first hire one VA that takes care of different areas of running an Amazon business? Or is it rather that they hire one VA for, let's say, PPC, one VA for customer service, and one VA, let's say, for anything that's have to be done, let's say, outside of Amazon in social media, etc.?
So it's a good question, because I'm not a fan of the Superman type of person that can do everything in their business. Of course, entrepreneurs and especially solopreneurs, they're used to do everything in their business. They think that they're experts in everything because they're doing everything. But between me and you, I used to do everything in my business myself, including PPC, social media. I used to answer customers, emails and so on. But it didn't mean that I was an expert in everything that I did. So eventually you have to understand that different type of characters are needed for different type of tasks. Take, for example, PPC VAs and social media VAs. They have the complete opposite character. The social media VAs, we're recruiting them based on their creativity, based on the fact that they're really good in English and expressing themselves in writing, and they're really like storytellers. They write something that is also interesting to read, and you get enthusiastic by this, and they love social media, obviously. A PPC type of person could probably be the exact opposite. No, they're not interested at all in social media. They're really analytical type of people. They don't really know how to write a story in English, because it's not really, they're really numbers type of people. They know how to analyze data. They love Excel, they love mathematics. And if you give their tasks to a social media VA, you'll lose your business. So that's the idea is really like to give the right task to the right people, to recruit the right people for the right tasks.
Okay, very good. So regarding hiring VAs, of course, there is an option to go and use platforms like Upwork to hire individual VAs, or use your services where you can already get the services from VAs who are already trained. But let's go to the situation where seller would try to hire a VA by himself or herself. What would you say, what kind of like preparations should the seller do beforehand? I don't know, we can take PPC, for example, just kind of to illustrate it a little bit more. Is there something the seller could write down as a guide, film some videos? What else could they do beforehand?
Well, before the recruitment itself, I would not invest a lot of time into the SOPs. I think it's a great idea that the VA herself or himself will create the SOPs for you under your guidance. So obviously, before starting to create the SOPs, you will need to spend time with the VA, going over the procedures and recording your screen and explaining exactly what you will do in each situation. But then everything is recorded that way, and the VA can go over it again and again and again and create the SOPs based on these videos. Like this, you can go over it and see exactly if everything was correct. And if not, then it's probably something that you missed during the training. And that's the best way, I think, to create SOPs. It will not take your time, and you will actually develop a better VA that way that will go over all the different steps. So that is something that I will wait for the VA. However, you will need to think, okay, which type of person do I need? I need on PPC, for example, you definitely need somebody that's coming from the field of numbers, like working before on finance or accounting, and somebody who's really good with numbers. You need to prepare yourself several tasks that will allow you to measure if this person is the right person for your needs. Like the PPC tasks, you have to think, what is the experience that you want from that person, and also like how many hours a day this person will work for you, and if you want this person to be knowing everything and taking over your account, or it's going to be like a team's work that you manage the VA on daily basis, and therefore you need to know which hours of the day you want the VA to work for you. So these are the preparations that you will need before going to actual recruitment.
Okay, and once the right person is found, do you have any tips how to have a smooth onboarding process? I know usually sellers, I think, when they hire their first VA, they tend to focus more on the technical stuff, like here's the tools, here are the accesses, or whatever information, and perhaps they don't think about the VA as an actual team member. So maybe you have some advice to give how to build that real good relationship with the virtual assistant to actually have that person as a team member.
Yeah, so I'll explain about it, but I think I'll cover, I'll touch on a point that you mentioned before. They say, okay, now let's say that the VA is found, but that actually is the part that takes us a significant amount of time. It takes us almost 2 months to find the right people, the right VAs for our needs, because we're not looking for VAs only based on their experience. Okay, now, a lot of people do this mistake. They think, okay, I need somebody to do PPC. I'll just post that I need somebody 4 years experience on PPC, and then if they write that they have it, then obviously they do, and that's the perfect VA for my needs. It's completely the opposite of what will happen. You will get 345 messages from VAs, all saying that they're experts, all saying that they have, why not, 20 years of experience on Amazon. Before Amazon was, launching FBA, they were already experts on PPC. So you will get these responses, and then you will see that every CV that you're reading is actually talking exactly to what you wanted to read. And also on the interview, you will go and you will interview the first person, the second person, and they will say what you want to hear. So you have to think that's not only in the Philippines, VAs around the world becoming more and more experienced into saying what's needed to be spoken in order to be accepted. And they know that they have a lot of competitors. They have a lot of other VAs that are competing with them over the same job. So they will say whatever is necessary. They will tell about their experience. They will exaggerate, obviously. And for us, we know that that's not really what is the most important thing. We want to see their potential. So we're testing, instead of just looking at their experience, we're testing to see how good they could become. We want to look at their motivation level and their commitment. And if they're eager to learn more and advance in your business, not just saying that they know this from before, but they really want to continue and develop. And if they're able to continue, to learn complicated things and apply them without mistakes, if they show up on time, their English level, how do they, act and in different scenarios. This is why it takes us time. It's easy to give them a test, ask them about experience, see how much they score, and that's it. But then who tells you that this VA will not just work with you and then disappear after a month and just adding your name to their CV in order to get a better rate for the next time? So that's usually what happens. So we take these 2 months in order to test, interview, filter all the VAs. We're left in the end of it with usually 1% of the applicants that started the process. So only those that they reach the finish line, we know that they have the best potential, and we know that they have what it takes to become excellent VAs, and then we start training them. So that's to the remark before. And now, if you want to keep this VA, let's say that you found the perfect VA, you tested her or him for a long time, you see that they're really good, and you really want to keep them. It's super important, like you said, not to see them as robots on the other side of the world that are basically just there to do tasks for you. Okay, you're working on Asana, you're giving them tasks every day, they send you the report, and that's it. This VA will never be connected to you or to your company, and exactly like you're not really connected to that VA. So if you see that it's, if not, then tomorrow I'll hire another VA. They see it on the other side. They'll say, you know what, tomorrow I will find another employer, another seller. You want them to feel like, this is the place that I want to spend for the next 20 years. I want to work with this seller. I feel connected to what they do. I feel connected to the way that they're treating me as an employee. And in order to that, you have to work. You have to share with them, for example, the future that you want for them. Like, what's the rate that you want to pay them now? But what are your plans for the future? Tell them that you want to give them a raise, or that you want to give them more responsibilities. Don't be afraid of it, because then they will want more money. Okay, it's okay if the VA will want more money. It's normal, because they will do a better job. They will want to progress in your business. So the more transparent you are, the more sharing about your goals and where your company is and where you want to take it, and even give responsibility to the VA to build this together with you. This is why I said that the SOP built by the VA is better, because you're really connecting the VA to the thing that they're doing, instead of just giving them tasks and see that they deliver. And this is where you really create some kind of an environment in which the VA feels essential to your business. Not to mention, going to the Philippines, which I do all the time, meeting the VAs over there, creating for them like meetups and events, and we're celebrating their birthdays. We have events, and we send them pizzas, and we have really like the idea of a community, and they see this as a second home to them. And when they see this as a second home to them, they will stay with you for years. If they don't see this as a second home to them, if they just think, okay, I'm working for this person and they're giving me tasks and they're paying me because I know what to do, then it's not going to last.
Okay, so probably sellers can apply kind of like the same thing, on their own business when communicating with VAs, ask about how VAs are doing or sharing something. But what do you think? Is it necessary to have like weekly meetings with the VAs as well, or if it's just like one VA working for one seller?
If it's one VA working for one seller, then first of all, you don't have to use all the different softwares, complicated ones. I would not use at all the software that are monitoring the VA, recording stats, giving you alerts every time the VA did not move their mouse for 20 minutes. I would not use that. You're basing trust here. I would go work on goals and assignments and targets for the week, for the month, for the year. And working with my VA, it can be even on WhatsApp. You don't have to work on Slack, even though Slack has their free features as well. So you can work with them and communicate with them using that. But I would still do at least once a week a video call, to see the person, to check their environment, to ask questions, to be personal. So I still do this with my staff. We have a staff of over 40 people working for us, recruiting, training, and I still want to see them and have meetings with them. Well, not all of them every week, but when the business grows, I can't. But it's something that's still very important to me.
Okay, yeah, we will soon get into the service, the virtual assistant service you offer for sellers as well, and I will ask you to explain a little bit more what kind of VAs Amazon sellers can hire from your company. But before that, I wanted to ask, what is kind of the trend? Are Amazon sellers usually hiring VAs for the tasks they know how to do themselves, and it's just kind of want to free up their time, or is it that Amazon sellers usually want to hire VAs for the tasks they're not really experts in? But then again, I'm not sure how does it work, because if you are not knowing how to do it yourself and then you hire a stranger to do it for you, how can you be sure that they're doing the right thing?
So I think the answer is both. I mean, if you go on the first part, then I would, as an owner of the business, I would try to focus my energy and time on the things that only I can do as an owner of the business. Okay, these are the things that will get me the most profits and money for my company. Okay, if I do things that somebody can do with $5 an hour, then I'm wasting my time. If I'm doing customer service and worry about shipments and inventory and checking the indexing on a regular basis, then I'm basically doing tasks that are not paid as what I can give to my business. Therefore, I'm creating losses to the business. So I try to focus my time and energy only on the things that I can do and nobody else can do for me. And then I ask myself all the time the question, can somebody else do this task for me? If can't, it can be somebody with the right training, the right attitude, and so on. But if somebody else can do this task for me, I would delegate that to another person. And obviously, if you know how to do it yourself, it's going to be easier because you know exactly how much time it takes. You know how to to work together with your VA and to get the feedbacks and reports from your VA and understanding exactly where they're stuck, helping them and managing them based on your experience. But it doesn't mean that you have to do it all the time. The second thing that you said is we see it in two ways. One is that it's a seller that's already working with his VA and they know exactly what she or he is capable of, and they say, you know what, she's really an expert. And she can take something that she doesn't know anything about and learn it. And I can give her a task about, okay, go watch this Udemy course or this webinar and apply it and send me a report about it or send me a short video about what it was about. And let's start to create something new that we haven't done before. We do it all the time with our more senior VAs because we have already tested their ability to learn things from scratch, complicated things, and apply them and that they can do it. Otherwise, we get some sellers that say to us, look, I want a social media VA because I know nothing about social media. I want to be on social media. I want to be on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. I want to work with influencers. I have no idea how to do it. Okay, so that's also very legit. And then you'd need to know that you hire an expert that was trained correctly, and you're basically counting on this VA to provide what they say that they will provide. And this is why. In this case, actually, in every client, every seller that is coming to us and hiring a VA from us, we connect, in addition to the VA, also a manager from our side. So, for example, if you're going to be hiring a social media VA, then first of all, you'll meet a social media department manager. and the manager will really prepare you for the arrival of the VA. So going over different ideas of tasks, like setting up your expectations, what the VA can help you with, where you want to focus. Do you want to be on all platforms or just on Facebook? What's the best for your audience? Do you want the VA to handle Amazon posts? Yes or no? Do you want the VA to handle influencers? And really building a schedule and work tasks for your VA, and that manager will answer all your questions, prepare you for the arrival, tell you which mistakes to avoid, and will continue to be your contact person for consultation. Later on, if there are any problems, if you want to improve something, if you're not sure if the VA is doing it correctly or not, you always have somebody to reach out to. We found out that it's actually working much better that way, exactly on these fields that you don't really know what the VA should be doing because you're not an expert yourself, you've never done this yourself, but you want to be there. And it doesn't mean just because you don't have the time to do it, to learn social media from scratch, doesn't mean that you can't hire a VA for that. So that's a solution that we give.
And maybe now it's a good time to go over what kind of VAs, what expertise they have that Amazon sellers could hire from your agency.
Sure. So, I mean, the first department, once we are done with the 2 months filtering and recruiting, then the VAs, they're divided into different departments. So the first department is the Amazon department. The training that we give the Amazon VAs covers pretty much every task that you can think of on Seller Central, except for PPC. So that would be like all the everyday activity, from competitor research to keyword research, creating the listings, flat files or manually, indexing, checking, customer support, shipment plans, inventory management, opening cases with Amazon, reimbursements, and on and on and on. Yeah, there are so many things over there that should be done. And a lot of us are not doing it on a regular basis, but they should be done on a regular basis. Somebody should check your listings, even if you have 100 listings, somebody should check them every day, making sure that everything's okay. Otherwise, you're losing sales. So that's the Amazon VAs. The second department is the PPC department. The PPC VAs, like I said before, they're recruited differently. They're recruited based on their ability to become perfect PPC VAs. So we're looking for analytical type of people that are really good with numbers, and their training is focused specifically on PPC, creating campaigns, optimization of the ACOS, the bids, understanding external tools, for example, Helium 10, in order to better track your keywords and doing a better keyword research and so on. So these are the PPC VAs. The third department is the social media department. This is more about creating brand awareness. If you're already selling, you want to stop developing your brand and post everywhere content on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and so on. Working with influencers, like I said before, Amazon posts, everything that is social, that will be the job of the social media VA. And we have also executive assistants. This is more like a personal assistant for big brands that they already have the infrastructure for Amazon, and they want also somebody to manage their everyday activity, even helping them to manage their inbox, setting up appointments, doing researches and data entry that is not Amazon. So all that is the executive assistants. And we also have creative department. They are graphic designers and video editors. The work with them could be also project-based, not necessarily hiring one person for everyday work. And the last thing that we've started to develop about half a year ago is Walmart VAs. This is already a topic for another talk, but we also have Walmart trained VAs because we noticed that more and more Amazon sellers, they need experts on Walmart in order to develop and expand into this marketplace as well. So this is also something that we do.
Sounds really good and useful for the Amazon sellers. So could you mention what's the website and what's the best way to reach out if sellers listening us now would like to learn more about the services and reach out to you to ask for additional information?
Sure. So when contacting us, you can go on our website. It's www.vaaphilippines.com. And if you want to contact us, you can either schedule a meeting with our staff directly over there, or you can just send an email to service@vaaphilippines.com.
Sounds really good. So thanks again, Gilad, for joining me today. And if anybody has any questions, you can also leave them as a comment. So we will ask you to come back and perhaps answer them as well. So yeah, as I said, thank you very much. And I hope to see you soon again.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
I hope this video helped you to better understand how the process of hiring virtual assistants look like. If you liked the video, hit the like and subscribe buttons below. And in case you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment box below. And now I recommend you to watch other video where Gilad explains how to start selling on Walmart with the help of virtual assistants.